Video. Today I'm going over a brand new poll released by Trafalgar Group and by Insider Advantage that goes over some of the top key swing states in this 2024 election and shows a very interesting and very close race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. So, with that said, this poll that was conducted by the heads of the Trafalgar Group and Insider Advantage, they did a 6 swing state battleground poll. The state of Georgia was not among this poll, so Georgia will not be factored into this poll. And it was conducted between August 6th and August 8th. And as the article says, the two polling firms were ranked among the most accurate multi-state pollsters in the nation in the last 2 presidential cycles by Real Clear Politics. And there's also plugs their podcast as well if you're interested in that. So I'm going to first go over the polls themselves, and then I'll go to the electoral map and show you what the map looks like with these polls and their margins. Insider Advantage has 800 likely voters, and in that, Kamala Harris receives 49% of the vote, Donald Trump receives 47% of the vote, a other candidate receives 2%, and no opinion or undecided receives 2% of the vote. And now we go to the state of Wisconsin, 49% for Trump, 48% for Harris, other 2%, no opinion, 1%. And I'm really not surprised by this, to be honest. I think I've long said that of the 3 Rust Belt states, Michigan has long been considered the more Democratic of the 3. In my most recent prediction, I did have Michigan going for Kamala Harris. Since she's joined the race, the polls have completely flipped in that state, and she is now favored to narrowly win this seat. Or win this state, but I fully expect it to be a very close race. All these are going to be very close. Wisconsin being a 1 point for Trump over Harris, I think makes total sense. On election day, I think it's going to come down to being that 1 point margin. And now we move to the Trafalgar Group, where they did 1,000 likely voters. And first things first, the state of Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump gets 46%, Harris is 44%. Other 5%, and no opinion or undecided 5%. Arizona, Trump 48, Harris 47, other 4, no opinion 1. Nevada, Trump 48, Harris 45, other 5, no opinion or undecided 2. North Carolina, Trump 49, Harris 45, other 4, no opinion or undecided 2 as well. And there's some interesting things to take away from this poll. Some good for Trump, some not good. The state of Pennsylvania, I'll go here first. The only thing that scares me if you're Trump in this state is that there's 5% undecided or no opinion, and Trump is only at 46% of the vote, Harris is at 44%. There's a lot of undecided vote here that could really break either way last minute for Trump or Harris. So to me, that means Pennsylvania is going to come right down to the wire and could be a state where either candidate can win it. Arizona obviously is the same in the fact that Trump has 48, Harris is 47, others 4%. If the other that say they're voting for 4% of the other candidates, if that remains true, there's only 1% of the vote, which means Trump does have a lead over Harris. Harris could edge out Trump by a few votes or so, but Arizona at least is looking very, very close, but Trump is doing all right there. The state of Nevada is, I think, perhaps Trump's best news, is that he's polling in Nevada up by 3 points over Harris. Other candidates are getting 5%. No opinion undecided is 2. If the other stays at 5%, 2% of the vote goes to Harris. That's 48-47. Trump would still be leading there. That could be a good indication, if this poll is correct, that Trump will be winning the state of Nevada. And lastly, North Carolina, 49 for Trump, 45 for Harris, 4% for other, 2% undecided. Again, North Carolina, a swing state, but looking very good for Trump. And just because I didn't do it too much on the first one, there's 1% undecided in Wisconsin, and so that'll be a very close one to watch for. Harris, 49-47 in Michigan, 2%, no opinion, undecided. So now let's go to the electoral map and just show what that means. So first things first, we're going to go to the state of Nevada, and it's 6 electoral votes. 3 points, that goes in Trump's column, and the lean margin, that gets Trump to 225. Harris is at 226. Arizona, a margin of 1%, puts Arizona in the lean column for Donald Trump. That gets Trump at 236, while it's at 226. Now we go to North Carolina, where Trump leads here by 4 points, still in the lean column. That gets Trump to 252. Harris is at 226. Pennsylvania, a 2-point lead for Trump right now, 46-44. that would put Donald Trump at 271. In this scenario, that would get him the election just narrowly, and that will get him over the 270 threshold. The state of Michigan, 47-49 in favor of Harris. So this poll seems to suggest what I've been saying for a few weeks now, is that Michigan will probably go to Harris, and she's got 241. Lastly, the state of Wisconsin, a 1-point lead for Trump, 49-48. Donald Trump, 281. So, I mean, and Georgia, as I mentioned, is not included in this poll. So just for the sake of this video, I'll be leaving Georgia as a toss-up. If the election were held today, I would predict that Georgia would go to Trump. But just for the sake of this video, I'm leaving it blank because that's what the poll said. And, you know, I personally think this poll is actually one of the more accurate ones that I've seen. It shows a very, very close election where things are still very, very close. But Trump, at least right now, starts off with at least a 1 or 2 point lead in a lot of these key swing states and crucial swing states. And look, I think personally, the polls right now, I know things have gotten very good numbers for Harris. Trump has not been performing too great in a lot of recent polls, but I don't 100% buy it, to be completely honest. I think that Trump's approval ratings being as high as they are, yes, Harris's have risen up a lot too, more so better than Clinton's and Biden's ever were, but I think Trump's approval ratings being as high as they are, and given the state of the country's approval of the Biden-Harris administration, I just think at the end of the day, when you look at the factors, a 1% lead by Trump in a lot of these key states makes a lot more sense than Harris leading these places right now. Like, if you were to ask me, is 281 to 241 in favor of Trump more likely than Harris for, say, winning Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Arizona and Nevada? Which one of these is more likely? I think the one where Trump is winning these states is more likely. I really do, because the polls right now, yes, it's definitely gotten a lot closer, and in some cases, Harris has overtaken Trump in some of these polling averages. But, you know, it is, I think, the polls, I'm not discrediting the polls because I don't want to, like, make a mistake in saying that, but I think it's important to be careful. And depending on how you weight a poll, certain people that you get in the poll and certain political party demographics, you can really get a poll to say whatever you want. If you could get the right people in the poll, you could say Trump is up by 20 points. You can get a poll that says Harris is up by 20 points. So it's really important to be mindful. But I think this poll is a pretty accurate look at how things are right now, which is if the election were held today, I think Trump would still narrowly win by like 1% or less in a lot of these key swing states. I think the election is clearly, the momentum is moving in Harris's direction right now. But the question is, how much further in Harris's direction will it go? If Harris gains any more support than she has now, then that map where I showed you where Wisconsin goes blue, Pennsylvania goes blue, Nevada goes blue, and Arizona goes blue is very plausible. And this very well could happen on Election Day if Harris continues to gain any more support than she already has. I'm just skeptical that she actually will get any more support, mainly because she has not really been very, I would say, talkative with the media is one critique I have for Harris's campaign so far. She's not been very specific on what policy she supports, and I think these things could potentially play an effect after the Democratic National Convention, where Harris has kind of gotten a pre-convention bump from joining the race. I'm not sure how big of a convention bump she'll actually get, because she's kind of seeing that convention bump now by joining the race. She may get a 1% bump after the convention, but I would honestly err on the side of maybe she doesn't, and we go back to seeing this race being very, very close, where these toss-up states will decide the election. And again, as I showed you in this video, I think right now, at least as of today, I do think Trump is still favored, and this is where I go away from the poll itself and more into my own prediction, where I think Trump's path of, if he holds North Carolina, holds the state of Georgia, and wins the state of Pennsylvania, Trump wins. It's 3 states. And that's with, I could give Michigan to Harris. I could even give Wisconsin to Harris, where Trump is leading in this poll. I can give Arizona to Harris, which Trump is leading, and Nevada, which Trump is leading. I give to Harris, Trump still wins if he can win these 3 states. The only question is, this is where things come very dicey in Pennsylvania. If Pennsylvania goes blue, and Michigan goes blue, which I expect it will, and Wisconsin goes blue, which I'm really 50-50 on right now, then it becomes much harder for Trump to win, because Trump could win Nevada and win Arizona, and that would not be enough to win. He could win Nebraska's 2nd district, and then it would be a tie, but then it still leaves the fate of the election up in the balance. And in an election that's been very crazy and up and down, that's definitely not something that I don't think either party would really welcome, would be Nebraska's 2nd District deciding the election. So it really just comes down to how these 3 Rust Belt states go, I think, are very, very important. And this election, look, I think summarizing how the election is right now, like unbiasedly, this election is very close. It's not the same race that Trump versus Biden was. Trump's not leading by like 5 or 6 points anymore in a lot of these swing states. Harris has now definitely closed the gap between Trump. It's no longer a blowout for Trump. It's basically a tied race. And depending on the poll, it'll be Harris up 1 or Trump up 1. To me, that says it's a very tied race. It's a very close race. And Election Day turnout and enthusiasm to go out and vote, whether it's on Election Day or vote by mail, whichever side is more enthusiastic, I think is going to win. So I think we're not really going to have a clear indication of who wins this race until Election Day, because I think it really will come down to the wire, and I don't really see that changing in the coming days or weeks. So that'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like and click subscribe so you get notified when I post videos just like this one moving forward towards Election Day. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.